What up, what up, what up? I'm Matthew Msingati, the designer and developer. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Coded Design, where I teach graphic design and coding. In this video, I'm just going to teach you how to do a HTML PHP form. HTML and PHP simply because I'm going to be teaching you how PHP processes the form data. The video is going to be simple technically, but it's going to be packed with understanding and in-depth knowledge on how PHP processes the form, so that next time when you want to do a form, you can easily do it without just memorizing things and getting stuck along the way. Without further ado, let's get started. In front of me, I've opened Visual Studio Code. I've got two files, form processor and script. The first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to put an HTML boilerplate. Okay, as you can see, the file extension here is PHP, but the content is HTML. PHP and HTML goes hand in hand with each other, or PHP you can embed or you can put an HTML code inside PHP without a problem. So that's why we've got an HTML code here, but the extension here is PHP. Let me just change the title to form. Okay, so this is gonna be our user interface part, where there will be some sort of the actual form, and then we need a PHP tag here to open a PHP tag, open and close it. The PHP tag is going to be the one that will be responsible for processing the form data. So let's just create a div with an ID of form container. This is the container that will have a form inside that will contain the actual form that we are creating, and then from there let's just have a form element there. The first thing, when you've got a form, you need to specify a file that will be processing the form data. So that's why here we have action. So this just simply means that when the form is done with the data, we're done collecting the data and the user clicks submit, where the data must go. So we need to type here a file path to a script that will be processing the data. There are two ways to go about it. You can have a separate script, a separate file that is not the same file that we are working on, for instance, not form processor. Some for an example, if you look at here, I've got an empty PHP file here. This file can be used here as a script that will process the form, but in our case we're not gonna do that. What we're gonna do, we're gonna use the same file that we are currently in as a form processor, as the script that will be processing the file. Which part of the script that will do that, which part of the file that will do that, it will mean that it's not the HTML part, but the PHP part is the one that will be responsible for processing the form. So in our case, then again, I don't usually type my file names and extension and also my file path. I like copying it directly from here so that I can avoid minor errors or typos that leads to some sort of a delay or a waste of time, because these are simple things you can just copy and paste. So our form, we've got the action, we've got the script that will process our form data. In our case, it's the very same file that we are currently on. Then after that, you need to tell the form what channels of communication, what method are you using to communicate to the script that will process the form. There are two ways to go about it. There is post and there is get. When I'm on the PHP section of this tutorial, I will explain the difference between the two. For now, just take it religiously that we're gonna use the method that we're gonna use is going to be post. Okay, that is it for a form so far. And then what we need to do, we need to put our text boxes and submit button. So let's just say input okay, this one is gonna be input text. Okay, and that is it. And then on our input, we need to label them, we need to name them. Why must we name the input? When the form is done with collecting data from our input, from our text boxes, the one that will be inputting manually, typing, it must save them under a certain variable that it will send it to a processing script. So it will use that name, the name that we have given to this input text box, so that it can send it to a PHP processing script. So that PHP processing script will use the name that we have assigned here as some sort of a container or a variable name. Then again, when I'm into the PHP section of this code, things will be clearer. So we need to name this text box as, let's say, user name, and then let's just copy it, and also let's have an email, let's say, and then we're just gonna say user email, and then of course with form elements, you cannot do without the submit button. Obviously with others, you might have an input, you might not have it, you might have a checkbox, you might have a radio button, but a form must have a submit button, because it is the one that triggers everything, the process of collecting all the form data and sending it to the correct or the assigned PHP processing script. So let's just have a button, and then let's label it submit, and then let's tell that the type of this button is submit. Okay, that is it for our form. Now let's just quickly go to Chrome and see how it looks like. As you can see, just a basic HTML form. Let's just quickly apply some styling so that at least it can look better than what it is now. In the styling section, I'm not gonna get into details in explaining things, because the purpose of the video, it's more about how PHP processes the form data. Okay, style tag. Okay, so what we want, as I've told you before, I always copy my names so that I cannot make some silly mistake that might delay me. So what I want to do, I want the width of the form container to be 100% view width, and the height to be 100% view height. Then for now, the background color is gonna be gray. Just quickly see changes. Yes, I'm happy with that. Now what I want to do, I want to center my form. As you can see now, it's on the top left. So now I want to center it. Align items, center, justify, content, center. Okay, let's see. Is everything centered? Yes, I'm happy with that. Let me remove the gray background because I wanted to see if everything is working. I'm done with that. So now let's get into the form. Then in terms of the form, I'm just gonna use the form element, or the tag name of it. So it's the form. So what I want to do, let me first set the background color to see if I'm able to get it 100%. The background color is green. We are good to go. So what I want to do here, I want to display flex. Display flex, and that is it. Also, I want the width and height. Width, let me make it 300 by 300. Okay. What else I want to do? Border. Let's see. Okay. Okay, now on our form, it's display flex. Let's say flex direction. Flex direction column. As you can see that my input are stacked like one on top of each other, and then from then I want the gap, let's say 30 pixel. That's too much. 15 pixel. Let me just center everything. Align items, center. Justify content, center. Justify content, center. Let's just make this a lighter color. There is no need for the background color. I'm happy with this. Now we are good to go. At least our form is presentable. Okay, this is how our form look like. I think we are good to go. We can put something here, even though it doesn't have the labels. Okay. Now what we want to do, we go back to our form. We are done with this. Now let's go to the PHP side of things. Okay, so what we want to do first, we want to check if our text boxes have got something. So how are we gonna do that? We're gonna say if is set post, then we go to our text boxes, their name. Let's use a name. We're gonna use this one first to test, and then we're gonna say equal dot okay. Now what's the problem? If is set, let's just quickly check what may be the problem. I think the brackets. Okay, let's see what might be the problem. Okay, if I'm opening a bracket is set, I'm opening a bracket, post, obviously open a bracket and close it, 1 2, and then 1 2 3. Let's see. Okay, that's not a problem. Let's just say if I'm confused with all those brackets there, so now they are starting to be confusing, but however now everything works. Let's see what was the problem. Okay, what I'm gonna do here, this is just a statement that I can just put here. Right, let me remove this one. If is set, let's see, if is set post. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to use a square bracket, sorry about that. If is set post, you let me not type it. I was supposed to use a square bracket. %. Okay, so now when we click, let me open, when we type something here, this is the name and this is the email, whatever. When you click the submit button and then the system execute, or it goes to this page with all the information that it has, meaning let's just say it's gonna come here with this variable name saying that I have brought you, let's say what was typed there, I have brought you this, and also I have brought you on user email, let's say there will be user email here, also I have brought you Matthew, let's say at gmail.com. okay, so this is coming from the user interface when you click this submit button. So this means that this PHP script must be able first to receive that. So how it receives that, it will take all these variable names and assign them into an associative array. Under the same variable names. So this is what the UI will deliver to the PHP script, that the PHP engine will receive those variable name, and then from then it will assign them into an associative array, meaning that it will take this name and put it here, and also take the value and put it here. So now let's get to the get and the post method. This post, it's a super global. The engine has got a get and a post super global. So meaning that if you have used a method of post here, so the PHP engine will receive the variable name, these ones that you are sending to it via this post associative array. So how is this gonna be saved, let's say in this associative array? It will mean that this associative array post, it has got the username, and at the same time it has got the user email. and then let's say at Matthew. So I would like to assume at least you understand that an array, it's something that looks like this. This is an array. This is an array of string. Also there could be an array of integers. So this is an array. However, an associative array, it has got key value pairs. So it's very important to understand this concept of arrays, because all PHP super global, they store information in form of associative arrays. So if you've mastered it here, then it will be easier for you to use all other super globals. For instance, like the server name, like the instead of the post super global, also the get super global. So let's get into an associative array. An associative array will have a key and a value. For instance, let's say it will have a username, and then from then it will have the username, and it will have a value, let's say Matthew, comma, it will have also another key. Another key will be user email, and then the user email will be, this is the key, and the value is matthew@gmail.com, let's say. So this is how this post associative array looks like. So the more you have inputs here with their name, the more you will have also another data here. For instance, let's say it was a password, so the key value will be the name that you have used to name your password input, which is maybe, let's say, user password, and then this is the key, and the value will be the actual password, 123. Okay, I hope you can see there. Sorry. So that's what happens with the super global. So now let's get into what we are saying here. Automatically, when the script hits this line, the engine has already assigned all these data, and all these are the fields. So all the information, all the content of these fields is already assigned into an associative array. The name of that associative array is this post. So it already has it. So however, sometimes somebody might submit without the information. So here we are checking, we are verifying, or we are double checking if is this username variable has a content. The content will be what has been typed here. I hope now it's getting clearer. At least you are starting to see what's going on here. So now here we are double checking. Before we process, we must check if it's not empty, more or less something like that. But now we are checking using the super global post, that do you have something from the user interface, specifically from the input text box with the name username. Do you have something? If you have something, then display. This is gonna be just a horizontal line, and then from then after that horizontal line, I would like to break. Sorry about that. This is supposed to be like this, and then from then I would like to break, which is to start on a new line, and that is it. And then it's gonna tell us that it is set. Okay, let me just explain about this is set. The is set, it's some sort of a PHP function to check if something has been initialized. It's not null. So if it has not been initialized, if it's null, then it will be false, but if it's been initialized, it will be true. So this is set doesn't only work maybe on post or whatever, it works on anything. For instance, if I can say this variable test is null, then that means the is set result of this is gonna be what? It's gonna be false if I'm putting this inside this condition. If I put this inside this condition, so it's gonna be false because it's null or it's not set. So now let's ask if is set the post display echo this, it is set. Let's say else, meaning that if it's not set, let's display in capital letters, not set. Now let's do the test. Okay, something is not working. Let's check what we might have. Oh, here is the, it's working. Here is, that means it's not set. It's not set. So that means it's not set. Now let's set it and see. We were asking the name, the top one is the name, so let's set it to something, and then let's see, go down. Still is saying not set. Okay, let me just test like this and this. Not a problem. Let's see. Oh, since it's an email now, we don't need that. So now let's check why it's saying not set. Okay, first of all, let's just echo. Okay, the first thing that we need to do here, let's embed our PHP script right below this button, so that we don't have to scroll here. Okay, let's copy this, and then let's embed our PHP script right below the submit button. Let's see, or at least the form. Let's put it here first. Okay, let's see. Something is wrong. If I'm using the post, I'm not supposed to see these things here. Let me check again. Okay, let's take the PHP script, my PHP script, and put it right below the submit button. This is the submit button. Oh, this just a moment. Let me copy everything here. Okay, let's see how it looks like. Okay, this is what I wanted. I wanted this to be here. I wanted this to be here so that when it's not set, what I'm noticing here is that when I click submit, you can see that the username is equal to mmm, and the user email equal to whatever. This happens when you have used a get method instead of a post method. So the error that we have is somewhere in here, because this form doesn't recognize that the method that we are using is post. So we might have made a mistake on the capital letters, hence it's taking all these variables to this place. Let's just quickly do a rerun and see. Remove this and then check. It's still doing the same thing. PHP username. Okay, let's go to our form. Okay, form action is form action dot PHP process. Yes, we're happy with that. Method, it's post. Method, it's post. Method, it's post. My mistake, my apologies for that. The method, it's post. Okay, let's go back. Method, it's post. Let's see. Now it is set, as you can see. Okay, so the method, it's post. Let's just test what I was saying. What if it can be a capital letter, to see how it's gonna be. But I'm assuming that suppose it works the same way. Not set. Let's see if it's gonna be set. It's gonna be set. So the capital letters don't really make a difference. So my mistake here was, instead of ME, I've written MA. Okay, now we are good to go. Now we are good to go. We know that it is set. We know when it's not set. Okay, now I think you do get an idea of how a PHP script receives variables from a form or data from a form. It puts all that into an associative array, and that associative array, it's a super global. That means it's available anywhere in the code, and the name of that array is post. In fact, it's $_ capital letter post. Obviously, with an array, you always put square bracket to access whatever that you want to access. Okay, and then let's do something when it's set, and then let's just copy this and then put a break tag here, and then from there let's just concatenate that name. Let's see. First, it's not set. Put Matthew. Submit. It is set Matthew. Put an email. Submit. It is set email. You see? So that's how a post a method works. However, let's just roll back to an error that has occurred when we didn't specify, I can say, because when you make a mistake here, then the form doesn't really see what you've written here. So if you don't specify the method, let's see, maybe it takes the default as the get method as a default. Let's quickly check that. As you can see, it takes the get method as a default. Remember, I said for now take the method part which was on this HTML form religiously. Now let me explain what's going on. The post method, as you might have seen, doesn't show these variable names here. It doesn't show these, but the get method, which is it's a default if you don't have if you didn't specify the method there, always takes everything and puts it here in this URL. Okay, for instance, let's say whatever, and then on the email address, let's start gmail.com. You see? So here is that email address and here is the username. So basically that's the difference between a get and a post method. However, the get method will always say not set, as you can see, because PHP receives a get and a post differently. The only difference is the super global, the variable that it uses to access the files. Okay, we have moved our PHP script right below the button. So here, if you want the get method to work, you just change this post to get. It's still gonna be an associative array. This is a key, and then inside this key there is a value, as I've explained before. And then also I need to change this to a get also. Now let's test if the get is going to work. Let's check if the get is going to work. Now the get is working. As you can see, this name is here. What if you want to also, let me just check if this is the email. I can also check here which one is the email and which one. Oh, okay. Type, this one is the email and this one is a text. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is not necessary. What if we also want to display this email? This is what we will do. User email as a variable, take it down to, if it's set, you echo that. Okay, now we were using get, that's not a problem. And at the same time, let's just echo break, and then we just paste that user email. I don't usually method. I think I've got a weakness, and it's the typing errors. I'm very bad in typing things. That's why I copy things. Okay, now we've got get here and the user email. Okay, method is get. I'm happy with that. So now what if we want also to display the email address here? Let me copy it here and then say Matthew as a name and email address. Submit. As you can see, we've got Matthew as a name and an email address. Okay, now as you can see, when I'm refreshing here, suppose it says not set because there is nothing here. However, the post method can do that, but the get method gets the information primarily from these. But if the information is already here, it gets it from here. So if you want it to treat it as the empty text boxes, we must remove this. We must remove this. Was not supposed to save. Okay, okay, we must remove this, and then says refresh. As you can see, it says not set. So with the get method, it gets all the information from here, or it takes this information and puts it here. Now, what are the chances where you might use a get, and what are the chances where you must use a post? To answer that, I'm gonna be a bit practical on something that I would like to assume at least you are familiar with. If your information that you are sending through this form is not that sensitive, for instance things like passwords here, then you can use the get method. A real life example of that, it's Google. When you go to Google, you search something here, whatever that you are searching here, it's what you know. Even if you can see it here, it doesn't really make a difference because it's your information. If you're typing your surname or your ID, it's still your ID. You've typed it here because you wanted to make it public. So if you type it here, meaning that anyone can see it, that means not a sensitive information. But in terms of the password, I would like to assume a password you are not supposed to see it here because somebody standing next to you can see it, and then next time when they are logging in, they can use your own email and log in. So when you are typing something on Google, whatever that you are typing is not a sensitive information. It's not some sort of a private information, something that other people are not supposed to see. But however, let's take a different scenario, a different application than Google. Let's take WhatsApp web for a second. In WhatsApp web, it's a single page application. Whatever that you do here, first of all, it does it without a page refresh. You don't affect, it does that without a page refresh. So that means your page doesn't refresh. So when you are using WhatsApp web, most of those requests are post requests because first of all your page doesn't refresh, and also you don't see the information. When you are typing a message to someone somewhere here, you don't see that message being displayed here. So WhatsApp web, it's more of using post request than get request because that information is sensitive, like your password and other things. It's not supposed to be here. And then Google uses a get method because whatever that you are searching here, you can find it here. That is it for me, Matthew Msingati, the designer and a developer. If you feel like this video has added value to your overall understanding of the form and how PHP processes the form, please subscribe.